Charles, thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited to chat with you. All right, Charles, last time you were on, it was June of 2022. And that was, I mean, in crypto years, that is like eons. So much has happened. It's been insane. So for those who don't know, Charles, you are the co-founder and CEO of Nifty Island. And Charles, could you give us kind of for those that don't know, could you give us kind of a short recap as to what Nifty Island is and why is it exciting?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. Good to be here. It has been a while. I think like 10 years, I'm going to say, in crypto
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good to be back. And for those who don't know, we are building Web3's leading game world built by its players. So there's kind of two things to say about Nifty, I think, which is one, we're trying to accelerate the future of player-built games. So we think that going forward, games will increasingly be built by the players, not by studios, just in the way that video content has been disrupted by the internet. We think that gaming content follows a similar trajectory where the inputs become more and more democratized. It's easier to make art assets. It's easier to deploy game logic. It's easier to distribute games and monetize them. We think that trend keeps going and is really, in certain respects, just getting started. And so Nifty itself is a game world where any player can build their own sort of playground, their own island, deploy games on it, host contests with prizes, share that creation easily on social, and monetize it as well. So that is what we are. We are kind of a next-gen player-built game world and platform. And then in terms of the role we play in crypto and what we want to do and really prove out this year is that we think crypto has a problem of not being tangible enough. It's always this sort of amorphous, perhaps overly financialized space. And for users that are trying to come into the space, they're often drawn to things that are far more tangible. Projects with a strong narrative, projects where the kind of what you do with them is very transparent upfront. And we think that Nifty Island can play a role much like the crypto exchanges have played, where it's the first touch point people have with crypto. So today, if you're getting involved with crypto, you create a Coinbase account or a Binance account, you buy some Bitcoin, you get started. We think that in the future, the first experience many people will have is seeing Nifty Island get played on Twitch, coming into the game, confronting a pudgy penguin or a sappy seal or a meme coin community, winning a prize, getting their first crypto by playing, and then joining the ecosystem. So, there's a story for us about accelerating the future of player-built games. And then when it comes to crypto, we want to be a new way that people get involved that's far more tangible and fun.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So much has happened since the last time we spoke. And even just so much has happened in 2024. We're talking now in January 25. But can you tell me about what happened in 24? Because you guys were just like firing on all cylinders. So give us like a recap of like what was going on during that period.
Yeah, 2024 is an incredibly busy year for us. So we started the project spring of 2021, sort of like peak kind of optimism around crypto consumer, rise of NFTs. We started the project then, and between the spring of 2021 and January 18th, we were building the platform. So we quickly launched an alpha version with our core community. We were iterating on that kind of behind the scenes. And then in the beginning of last year, we launched our open beta and rolled out a kind of novel play to airdrop campaign that got pretty much every major NFT community in crypto to engage with the platform, have a presence there, have avatars there. And kind of short number of months, we became in that sort of player-built game world category that you see like Sandbox, Decentraland, Otherside playing in. We became the most active game world in the space, I would say by far. That isn't to say it's Fortnite numbers, but within crypto, it's real consumer adoption and real usage of a game world that's powered by crypto. So we rolled that out in January 18th. And then that whole year was us refining the platform, grinding towards making it something we feel is ready for, normal consumers to engage with. And that meant, expanding the ways people can build compelling islands, making the gameplay more compelling, ensuring the game's stable and scalable, launching a novel prize system that lets any user post a prize and get people to come in and play. And over the course of that year, it expanded from, say, with something like 100 communities playing in Nifty to now it's about 500 communities that exist in Nifty. Pretty much every major meme coin project, every NFT project, starting next week, every AI project existing in one game world where consumers can engage with these communities and win their first crypto by playing. So over the course of that year, we saw it was something like it's just under 200,000 wallets connect to the game. In the past month, it's about just under 60,000 people who have played a session of Nifty. Now, each day it's around, it's higher than it was during Play to Airdrop. So it's been between like 2,500 and some days 9,000 people who played a day. Of course, with all the usual caveats of, some, farmers and whatnot. But the game has retained attention well and is now like at a high point for usage. And that's kind of what we did all year. It was grinding to establish ourselves as the dominant kind of player built game world in Web3.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me, give me some examples of some of the things or maps or games that you've seen users create. Because I mean, I've seen some stuff that's blown me away. What are some cool examples of things that have blown you away within building within these islands?
Yeah. Oh, there's been a real variety of gameplay, and I think the thing that has always been our core belief has been that crypto users are not numerous, but they are almost like entrepreneurs. So like every crypto user you get, you're almost getting someone who's like an aspiring entrepreneur who's trying to build a brand, usually on X. They're interested in finding ways to monetize their work. They want to engage with people. They want to sell things on chain. And so the users we have, to me, are worth like 10 normal users or even 50. They're great. And in terms of what they've created, that's really kind of shown itself to be true. So we've had everything from people recreating D-Day to creating like elaborate medieval villages to creating museums and storefronts for NFT collections they're excited about, building hub worlds for all the big collections, ones like Pudgy Penguins. We've seen communities create like tons of custom 3D assets that have spanned all islands. I've lost count of how many Sappy Seals derivatives there are, 3D derivatives there are in Nifty. There's tons of them. So that's been really active. And then, there's been a really active speedrunning community in the game. So people creating extremely difficult and elaborate up-only maps with cash prizes that have been in like the thousands or even like tens of thousands. And yeah, so it's been a huge, huge span of things, but the users have really shown up. We have a great base of creators.
Yeah. What's the user behavior for someone who is trying to be entrepreneurial within Web3? Because, your options are like, you can go meme coin gambling. You can kind of dive into an NFT community, whether it be collectibles or art or there's a ton of categories. Gaming, of course, is a huge one, but specifically around Nifty Island, what are some entrepreneurial behaviors that you've observed users doing?
A really core one for us has been take NFT or meme coin projects that are interested in building their community and kind of growing that base of people who are excited to hold the asset and push to proliferate it. That has been a staple for us. So there's been lots of NFT projects and some that are more like, say, like more mid cap or even lower cap that are really, really active in the game. So you'll have like meme coin projects that will host a contest. You have to hold the meme coin to participate in it. They're trying to drive demand for their asset. We've seen lots of that. We've seen NFT projects make it basically a staple of what they do, much like people use Discord and Twitter as just part of what it means to run an NFT project. For a growing number of projects, Nifty plays a role much like that, where they host game nights, multiple every week. They're live streaming it. They're deploying new 3D assets, giving away additional perks to their holders. So for many NFT projects, we've become really entrenched. And then we've seen some use it in a more kind of like more spiky way where they'll do like a couple weeks of like big cash giveaways, generate some excitement on the timeline. So there's been that. And then we've seen lots of people like big crypto whales decide they're going to have like an island as like a sort of like mix of a vanity project and a way to farm rewards. So they'll have an island set up, like someone like Dingaling has been active in the game and has put up an island, put up cash prizes, used it to kind of farm rewards in the game, and hosted some of the most elaborate kind of up-only contests we've had. So there's been that. And then we've also seen a lot of people who are in the sort of like metaverse creator space that are looking to generate excitement around new types of NFTs. Someone like Spotty Wi-Fi comes to mind, who is a musician in the crypto space and also a really prominent metaverse creator. He's has his own kind of like capital city in the game, hosts events, plays music there, gives away NFTs and prizes, And so we've seen kind of a big every type of crypto creator pretty much has done something in the game.
Is there a user behavior or something that you've seen that's surprised you the most, or is it you're like, okay, this all makes sense. People are coming in here to really engage and kind of form friendships and form business partnerships, or kind of engage their community. But is there something that you're like, oh wow, I had no idea that specific behavior was going to pop up?
Right. Yeah, I think most surprising stuff. It's tough. It's like I'm pretty familiar with it all now, with most of it now. But I think like the biggest surprise for me has been what like the propensity for people to form like player syndicates and groups spontaneously. That's something you see in crypto, and you kind of know it's a big thing. People love to form these new tribes, but we've seen numerous groups crop up that are like specific to Nifty. So there's like groups like Nifty Gang that would like host regular events and kind of help prop up each other's islands. And there's like been several other discords that have spawned that are just associations of crypto of like Nifty Island users specifically. So I don't think it's like wildly surprising, but when we set out, we were looking to just tap into existing communities, and seeing people's desire to just create new ones around the game has been cool. It's something we want to lean into more going forward.
That's really cool. And also, you said something that previously that was really surprising. You said like now you have more users active today than there were during the Play to Airdrop campaign. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
I love our Play to Airdrop average right now. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. So tell me about the airdrop campaign, and then I guess tell me about the token launch, and then tell me about post, like the current era.
Yeah. So during Play to Airdrop, we, just to give people context, we designed this a little differently than most Play to Airdrop campaigns. So many Play to Airdrop campaigns are really short, and they index for maybe initial user onboarding and a kind of a little bit more like shallow participation. And I think that's been a failure mode for many of them, where you sort of have the semblance of a community for like a month, and then the airdrop happens, it dissipates. We took a different approach. This was a prolonged campaign. I mean, this was like an 11-month long beta period where we were saying, hey, it's going to take a while to make this game world what it needs to be, and we want to utilize this Play to Airdrop period to forge a group of people who are down to do something where the reward is a little more distant. It's kind of like mining Bitcoin in the early days. People didn't do it knowing that Bitcoin would be $100,000 and that the president would be actively promoting it. People were doing it because they thought it was interesting. And so having this longer campaign with the rewards being a little more distant helped us forge a group of people who are really, really passionate about the game. So I think of it like the group that was formed out of the Play to Airdrop campaign. It's almost like early like Chainlink Marines, where they're people who see what we're trying to do. They recognize that it's not completely obvious to everyone else that it's the future, but this community really believes it is. And so that Play to Airdrop campaign, it had 3 waves. There were some players playing a huge amount, like genuinely playing like 8 hours a day, and some slightly more than that. And so we had this like really intense group of creators that are, some of the most genuine active holders from all the big projects, kind of participating in it, becoming ambassadors for Nifty effectively. I think it also had some of the most gameplay being shared on X. A lot of crypto gaming projects exist more as like an idea of a game. And what's been nice to see is people actually making it part of their daily posting, regiment. They're like putting out content about their island, about races they're hosting or participating in, etc. So that Play to Airdrop campaign was about getting in that group of like really enthusiastic holders. And I think it was successful in that way. It was also plenty of challenges, tons of stuff to improve about the game, tons of fires to put out. The product has a lot of surface area, so you just can't learn all the edge cases and problems you're going to confront till it's in prod. And so a lot of it was us like grinding just to keep up with user demand and make the platform functional. So I think our Play to Airdrop campaign, I see it like that kind of like early mining, early like participation that's really about people who believe in the future of it. And then we hit TGE, that was December 17th, and got the token out. We can get into that, but basically released that on December 17th. And thankfully for us, we've seen an uptick in momentum since. So lots of people are holding the token. It's over 50% of the tokens we've given out are staked.
Wow.
There's like a really kind of core base of people around it. We've moved into a new reward schema since that's been driving more people to play, which has been great.
That's awesome. Okay, so I don't think I've ever asked anyone this, but what is it like to do a TGE? Is it were you terrified? Were you pumped up? Like, what is the vibe like? Because I just have no idea.
Yeah, it's I think it's the most intense kind of milestone you can hit as a project, because so much of running a startup, thankfully, is more incremental. It's just about like, hey, are we improving the game this week? Are we seeing users stick around? Are we deploying new features? Are we improving the value of the platform? Are we onboarding new communities? That stuff's all kind of just making marginal improvements, and is great. That's what I enjoy. And the TGE is much more of this like kind of binary event. It either works or it doesn't. And it was, yeah, it's pretty intense. I think especially too because the meta in crypto keeps shifting, and so like a lot of it's about market timing and just getting it done in the moment when there's enough interest. And so for us, it was pretty intense to get done. It was like lots of sleepless nights, huge amount of work to get to that point, and thankfully it's done and has gone well. So
That's awesome.
We're happy with it.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned like the meta keeps changing within crypto, which is absolutely true. I mean, what early 24 is like meme coins, early to like mid 24 is meme coins. Then towards the tail end is AI, and there's merit to all of it. But what I don't like is how when the attention flows to one thing, it's just like only on that thing.
Yes.
Like even meme coins now, which everyone was like, these are the bee's knees. Now it's like they're suddenly like not relevant. And don't even get me started on NFTs.
Like, what happened to the meme coin super cycle? Maybe it's coming back.
I know, right?
It's funny. It's yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like even with NFTs, like there's so much merit to so many art communities, so many games, so many things, and there's not a lot of attention on them. How do you find that as a founder of a category or a narrative that might not be considered the hottest right now, because it's you're part game and you're part metaverse, which both things are not the hottest today.
Totally. So yeah, I think those kind of headwinds do test your conviction for sure. Like then there are moments you just kind of have to grit your teeth and say like, hey, are the only apps that make sense in crypto like effectively exchanges? Is that the only thing? So there are definitely test your core convictions, and it's great when the energy is behind you. It's just so much easier. It's when we first launched, especially, we had like tons of kind of easy momentum and really uncritical interest in gaming that we were even at the time like a little uncomfortable with, just seeing like people being like, oh yeah, people are just going to launch games and they're all going to do well. And even the like, I don't, there's like the Web3 gaming is inevitable sort of narrative, which cool, like push it, but when you're working on it, it doesn't feel inevitable at all. You're definitely kind of under the gun. So I think the way what's separated us a bit, I think, from some other games is that we've never viewed Nifty as a kind of siloed game experience that relies on any one narrative. We've viewed it as a game platform that leans into the composable nature of crypto. So there's this big open ledger with various things people are excited about. There are really fierce rotations into different categories, and every single category can exist in Nifty. So with every wave, like whenever I see things start to pick up, like our community team's really active in recognizing those trends and saying, you know what, we should do a big push on meme coin communities. There's a lot of excitement around them. Let's make sure they're all integrated into Nifty. And so I think we've managed to have a bit of an evergreen way of generating attention, which is like participate in whatever people are excited about. I don't think crypto gaming should take people out of crypto. It should always accentuate what people are excited about. So, if NFT projects are the most exciting thing, let's push hard on that. And then if meme coins are really exciting, let's see what we can do with those communities and learn what they want. And each one has different needs. And then with like the most recent kind of AI stuff, people are really excited about agents, and they do enrich Nifty as a game world. And so there's no reason not to play into it. So I see it like crypto exchanges, like a Coinbase or a Binance. You just have to be nimble and go to where community excitement exists.
Yeah, no, it kind of reminds me of your earlier point about kind of you're creating something that's more tangible within Web3, because crypto is very intangible, obviously, and you're like aggregating experiences in communities to come together in a kind of a quote unquote real area versus like
Yeah.
just on Twitter and whatnot or X. Yeah, so I guess tell me about that. Tell me about how you see uh, Nifty Island evolving going forward in the sense of being this aggregator of experiences and Web3 things that are happening.
Yeah. So there's a few different vectors of that. I think one is we want to support all the latest chains. So wherever there's new excitement, like look at the upcoming abstract release, look at the move towards open Ronin. These are all trends that we want to participate in. So if an ecosystem is managing to generate a lot of engagement and it looks like it'd be a good fit for Nifty, we want to be there. So it means we're always really active in scouting out new chains. That's something you're going to see from us in the next month or so. Is a bunch of new chains coming online, a couple new ones at least. So there's that vector of it. Other things we're trying to do, just in terms of cementing our role in crypto, we think that trading is fundamental to Web3. Obviously, you can basically either hold the asset or you can trade it. For people who really want to hold it or acquire it through time, Nifty is a good vector for that. The thing we really want to engage with as well is some people just want to be a patron of game worlds by trading or projects in general by trading. And so something we have cooking is our sort of launchpad product. We're calling it like market driven UGC. So the idea being that game worlds will be better if they have a thriving capital market around them. And the crypto user base predominantly wants to just trade and engage with capital markets. So that's a big push for us, is allowing people to engage with Nifty more asynchronously. If there's a really awesome creator or community on the platform, there should be tokens you can trade to patronize those groups. So that's a big one. And then other things for us, the AI agent push we're doing is really important. So getting all these agents to not only just kind of exist in a shallow way in Nifty, but actually letting them take cool actions, tweet about what's going on in game, host their own contests. That's really important for us as well. And then I think like those are some of the goals we have around cementing our position within crypto. The focus in the kind of, I would say, like probably like Q2 onward for us will be about like growing the pie. It's going to be about making like a hard push on YouTube, on Twitch, getting this to a place where it can really be something that attracts people who aren't as diehard about crypto, but who are interested. So, I'd say Q1 for us, cement our position in crypto, engage with traders, engage with new chains, continue to refine the platform. And then I think it'll be like Q2 onward, you're going to see us like really push on the growth side and try to get new people in.
That's super cool. Okay, wait. So you mentioned this platform or tool or product or whatever that where you can buy or participate in the island's token economy. So if I go there and I make Andrew Community Island or whatever, I can launch Andrew Community Token for my specific island.
Exactly. So
that's super cool.
The direction we're going in is the depth of what you can create in Nifty needs to become more. So it needs to be you can deploy more novel experiences people will spend money on as well. And we want people to be who are really deep UGC creators. Like think of it like there are dev shops on Roblox that outside people are investing in, and they're capitalizing those groups. Those groups are engaging and creating really cool content that consumers want and will spend on. That what we think we can do with crypto is speed run having a capital market that is maybe not as mature as Roblox, but is like surprisingly comparable, such that making content on Nifty it's easy to acquire capital to do it, and it makes a lot of sense to jump in and make stuff because it's really easy as well. So make it easier to create, and then make it such that if you were, say, it could be there's a couple different profiles we look at with this. You could be a solo metaverse creator who wants to create deeper experiences in Nifty, launch a token, use that to accelerate your ability to do that. Outside people can look and like speculate on what you're creating. And then it might as well be an NFT community trying to figure out how to capture value, wants to monetize, spin up a token on Nifty, use it to create really deep UGC that drives spend and engagement, and then outside people can trade that token. So this is what we're trying to do basically, is have Nifty, because it's a crypto enabled game world, have a capital market around it that is surprisingly robust for its size, and we think that will be a big unlock for getting better content on the platform.
That's so cool. Okay, so it's Pump Island Fun with fundamentals.
Yeah,
There you go. Is that the name?
Not name not yet announced, but
Yeah.
but more or less,
Cool.
exactly.
That's super cool. I love that. All right. So also you mentioned previously about AI and AI agents, of course, huge theme right now, makes total sense within Nifty Island world, but then also just around gaming in general and users being able to create games. I mean, Nifty Island is UGC. You now have AI, which is like the best tool ever for users like myself who have no skills to easily create UGC. So tell me about that. Like, how does, in the world where these AI tools get super great and I can build a castle instantly or whatever, some really cool thing, how does that impact Nifty Island?
Kind of, there's I'd say three main ways it impacts it. So the first is lowering the barrier to entry to making great content. If you are using something like Meshly or Trellis or one of these tools that allow you to generate 3D assets easily, it should be that an individual creator has the firepower of like a 12-person, highly skilled art team. Right now, of course, the fidelity of the assets is lower than what you could make manually. But today, if you want to take a meme and make it 3D, if you want to realize your brand in 3D, you can do it in a kind of like low to medium fi way very, very easily. And the creator tools we have allow us to ingest anything. So you can just upload any 3D asset. If you want to turn it into an NFT, you can. If you want to gate it behind an existing collection, you can. So there's that. And then having kind of fairly complex non-player characters that are agents can populate a world as well. And so if you think about the components of a game, can you deploy a world that other people can connect to and play on? Can you generate a world filled with custom 3D assets? Can you have compelling non-player characters? Can you have compelling games? AI is basically an accelerant to all of that, to allowing a very small group of people to do what like a big studio previously could only do. Nifty already abstracts away a lot of what it takes to make a game world. AI basically just makes all the input costs much lower. And so that's one side of it. The other side is just upping the ceiling on what can be done in a cool player built game world. So if you wanted today to have, I was talking to someone about this recently, like the NPC system in Shadow of Mordor, for example, where it's a game where you basically play as this sort of like warrior assassin type who is taking down like a big network of orcs, and but all the orc kind of war chieftains know about each other. They know when someone else has been killed. They have kind of complex relations with each other, and this would be a big engineering effort just to create a system like that. By integrating in outside agents, we think that the like fun, really dynamic non-player characters that you would see in like a AAA game become accessible to anyone to deploy. So if you want AI XBT on your island and maybe something happens on chain that triggers something in game, these sorts of like highly complex novel NPC deployments become something that's within reach for any player. And what you'll see next week in our version 1, it will be simple to start, is that any Nifty Island player or creator will have a roster of complex and non-player characters that they'll recognize from Twitter they can deploy on their island. So that's an example to us of actually raising the ceiling on what can be done in a player-built game world. And then the final thing. So let's see. I think it's that. And then the third that's kind of similar to that one is just having people who are running AI projects view Nifty as a resource, much like NFT projects do today. So the paradigm we're in right now and what we're rolling out next week is that anyone with an agent project that wants their character to be universally available to everyone in Nifty, if they hold 100,000 island token, they'll be in this sort of featured inventory list. So it's kind of hitting it from three angles, like making UGC easier to create, making what can be made more interesting. And then the third is for people who are just, more interested in agents themselves and wanting to promote them, making Nifty a tool to do that. Those are kind of, I think, the three benefits to it for us right now.
And also, you mentioned that there's going to be certain chains that you're integrating with, or actually a lot of new chains that you're integrating with. What is the advantage? Like if I'm I don't know, abstract or whatever new cool chain that's coming out, why would I want to integrate with Nifty on? What is my incentive to? I mean, obviously, it's kind of I know the answer, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what are the advantages of me integrating?
So I think Abstract's a great example. I think ApeChain is kind of in a similar place as well, where the success mode for those chains is that wave of consumer excitement you saw in 2021. I think I would say in general, that's what they're trying to recreate. So that is consumer friendly crypto revolving around like really tangible, fun NFT projects that people are going to want to engage with. Like if I'm thinking like, where's like someone like Luca's heads, where's it at? What's he thinking about? I think he wants to see Abstract become a place where really awesome new communities form. And we see almost something like a 2021 NFT run up on Abstract. That to me has to be, I would think, the success case for that chain. There's probably more to it, but that'd be from the outside how it looks to me. And if you think about the initial 2021 NFT run up, when people deployed a new project, like even like take Bored Apes, what existed for those projects to do and how could they proliferate themselves? They basically had to invent everything themselves. So they had to spin up a Twitter. Twitter was the only place they could acquire people. They spin up a Discord, and then there's places to trade, and that's it. Like that is the stack that an NFT founder has to build up their community. And I think when it comes to something like Abstract, the dream of these NFT projects having games they can play and game worlds they can exist in, that should just be a day one thing they have, out of the box. And so the goal would be that for a project launching on something like Abstract, say like in a month or so or whenever it is, they should have a stronger stack to engage their community than any project had in 2021, even the most well capitalized ones. So I think that to me is it. It's like, giving these founders more they can do to engage their community, making the value prop around the NFTs like 10x better than it was in 2021.
That makes total sense. All right, so you mentioned about attracting. You're like, okay, first, actually, you know what? I want to ask this question: tokens. You have a live token, Island, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What has because token economies are so complex. I mean, you launch this thing, and suddenly it's now interacting with like 50 different DeFi protocols and this and that, and there's people trading over here, blah blah blah. So, in your opinion, has the Island token functioned in the way that you thought it would, or are there lots of edge cases? You're like, wow, I had no idea people are going to be like, going over to this DeFi protocol, doing this much leverage and taking a loan, or I don't know. Like, has the token economy functioned as planned, in your opinion?
The way we've thought about rolling out new economic systems is we try to do it in a way where we start fairly simple, in a way that we think is more or less predictable in how it will play out, and then adding on layers of complexity. So this is the reason why we rolled Island Token out. It wasn't like there was a launch pad on day one. People are going to be using it in a kind of unpredictable way to buy other tokens. We wanted it to be that on day one, pretty simple, and that was rooted in a staking mechanic. So people can stake Island token, and then that unlocks premier access to the platform. And what we really want is people to acquire the token because they want to use it on the platform. And so that has played out pretty well. I think given that over half of the token supply we've given out is staked, it's a pretty good vote of confidence. It keeps climbing. It's probably climbing by like 1 million Island token every couple of days. So the more of it that's staked, the more I think it's validated that people are seeing value in the platform. And that's a pretty like simple system. And so it's a core KPI for us right now to say like how much of this is staked. If a lot of it is staked, then we see that people are really excited and engaging with our quest system, which has premium quests for Island token stakers. People are excited about having a more discoverable, larger, cooler island, which is also unlocked through staking the token. So that's where we started. And I think that staking model is really simple for people to understand. There's a token, you can lock it up, and it will give you better access to the platform. I think tokens like BNB have always been a bit of a point of inspiration because there's a platform people find useful, and the token gives premier access to the platform, and it makes people feel much more like a stakeholder than like a passive user, which is what you really need for a platform like this. So I think it's worked so far pretty well. Things we've seen that are desires that were maybe unexpectedly strong are things like people want to acquire large amounts of it and they want to be able to patronize others. So rather than just being a creator yourself, it would be cool to have like a portfolio of creators who you're delegating your Island token to, and they're doing stuff on your behalf. That is something we're enabling soon. And that was a need that people were like immediately. They were like, "We need this. Like, you guys need to do this." And we're like, "Okay, we'll do it." But it has behaved more or less how we thought it would. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so again on another token question. So for these new upcoming, we'll call them like sub island tokens. If I do Andrew Island and I have Andrew token for that specific
Yeah.
island, can me as the creator of that, can I design that however I want? Meaning like, okay, I want everyone, I want to actually have people that play on my island, they're going to get airdropped the Andrew Island token.
Right. Right. Yeah. So when we think about configuring those, we're thinking of it like there's a couple different roles you can play, and I guess we'll call them UGC tokens for now. That's kind of like my like internal word. I don't know if it's sexy enough, but it's how we're thinking about it. So the roles you can play, you can be someone who holds it, you can be someone who created it, and you'll probably want to configure how each role works. And so if you're a creator of a token, there's a couple ways you could monetize it. You could have a bunch of the supply sequestered for yourself. That'd be one way. Additionally, you could sequester some to give away in quests and rewards or airdrop to other people. I think that's something people are going to want to configure. The other vector of this that I've always really liked, and I've always felt like tokens should work like this, is that really creators should monetize off the volume. It's what I liked about the NFT model to start with royalties, was that it means really the creator's main goal is people should be interested enough in this that it does get traded. And so something we are looking at is, say you had like a Sappy Seals UGC syndicate spin up and they have a token. You should be able to add people as a creator who benefits from transaction fees on the trading. Maybe they don't have any of the supply, but if they're generating volume, they should benefit from that. So on the creator side, it's really about how you monetize it and how you distribute it. People are going to need some configurability there. The other side of it is like what happens when you own it. And I think to start, the most easy things are like our bread and butter, like unlocking cosmetic benefits, unlocking benefits in our play to earn system that apply specifically when you're on that creator's island or that group of creators' islands. And the other things we want to move into over time would be, if this group is creating experiences that people spend on, is there a way of having the holders benefit? Is it like a buy and burn or what? So yeah, I think those are the main things. It's like, how do you configure the way creators distribute and monetize the token? And then how do you configure the value prop for people holding it? And I think people will want a lot of discretion over both.
Totally. Okay, so you said Q1 is for crypto natives. Q2, you're targeting mainstream users. What do you think about I've always found this so fascinating, the differences between crypto Twitter or CT versus like YouTube crypto, or crypto YouTube, whatever. I found that what people talk about in those different, and also there's TikTok crypto, which is a totally different population that I don't even understand at all. But what do you think about these different platforms and the types of users that you personally want to bring onto Nifty?
Yeah. So I think I'm most excited about like crypto YouTube right now, for the reason that these are people who like, not everyone likes Twitter, or X. Like, not everyone wants to be there all the time, and that's fair, right? And I think the YouTube crowd tends to value a few things. They want projects that have like a really concrete story around what they're doing. It's always interesting to me that the meme coin narrative, I think it has the potential to onboard new people, and maybe on TikTok has had a lot of success. But for many people, meme coins feel almost like optimized for people who are the most hardened crypto participants, who are like, okay, who think about like an unlock schedule for a token, or who are like, well, I've participated in like 100 different projects, and I'm like, I see that they don't tend to follow through. And meme coins kind of don't even say they're following through on like a roadmap or something. And so I think the crypto YouTube crowd is more someone who, like, they're going to want to go deep on a few projects. They actually want to learn about it and engage with it. Look at a project like XRP that like crypto Twitter maligns constantly, but like people on YouTube or elsewhere like really like. And I think it's because they understand its mission in the world. Whatever you think of it, like, it has a pretty concrete thing it's trying to do. So I think the crypto YouTube crowd, it has a nice overlap of people who want to go deep in a project, people who are like loyal to a smaller number of projects. And then it also has this kind of like cohort of people who love games, tend to be in the demo that like crypto. And so I do think like crypto YouTube is probably one of the it's the most undertapped channel for us, like by far. We've done very little there, and what you're going to see is us spin up a lot more activity on that side. So I like that one. I think TikTok is a trickier one. I think it's kind of where the meme coin stuff has hit the hardest, and a lot of what you see on there is like, I just made 100x. It's kind of grabbing and interesting. I still think there's potential for us to do stuff there, but I view YouTube as like probably the best next platform.
Do you foresee you guys targeting Roblox users, or is that just kind of like, I mean, granted, a lot of Roblox users are quite young, and usually crypto people tend to, be slightly older, like kind of in their teens to, 30s or 40s or whatever. Do you foresee that, or is that just kind of like not a target market for you right now?
I think the groups with Roblox that you'll see us target will be the creator side for sure. Like if you're a dev shop, like you've got like 12 people working on it, and you could allocate like 1 or 2 people to make experiences on Nifty, and you could issue a token like on top of us. That to me feels great. Like if we can present something that's just like really risk adjusted, like very like a no brainer, and we're like, hey, like this isn't Roblox. Like you don't have to devote a dev team to make an entire bespoke experience. You could make like a single game mode, or an island, and you could farm rewards from this, and you could issue a token. I think that gets really interesting. I think the Roblox, like the crowd of like really young players, is something I think we'll get to eventually, but it is not the current focus. Like for the reason that like the UX complexity of crypto, and it has to be like absolutely abstracted. Like it has to be not only abstracted, but probably even gated, like in kind of like policed in a certain way. So it's not the immediate focus, but I do see it as being like there's tons of other communities that are playing games that are UGC driven, or just like shooters, or just like winning prizes, that are like teens and up, that I think are a good fit.
So in terms of user acquisition, what have you found to be the best channels? And to build on that, have you worked with KOLs, and how is that process? Is it easy to work with KOLs? Is it fun? Is it annoying? Like I'm just curious, because crypto is so dominated by KOLs. So I was just curious to ask, how has your experience been?
We've really like full focus Twitter and like our Discord, like that to us, like you can jump the shark and try to go for these mainstream channels too early. And we ran lots of tests while we were doing our alpha, like and pre-beta. We were kind of looking at these other channels and seeing like, if we release this kind of rough value prop on TikTok, like are we going to be met with a really warm reception, or is it going to be an uphill battle? And our view is that when it's early and kind of nascent, you want to be on crypto Twitter, because people aren't just players; they're more like entrepreneurs who see potential in what it could be. And so our focus to start was like fully crypto enthusiasts, and getting like a base of users from that. I think like the Ronin ecosystem represents something else that we're also really excited about, but that's been the focus. And so we have not been a project that's throwing like huge amounts at marketing early on. We want to save our war chest and use it when we feel like the time is right. But we do select activations with KOLs on crypto Twitter. And for us, it's always like picking ones that we think are like have a really like genuine voice, like they like the platform, and they engage with the communities we're excited about. So like just one example, like we've done a lot with like Whale Swoosh. He's really great. He's built multiple islands, hosted tons of events, has a custom avatar in the game, gets us in front of like these communities, and is also a good value add for our partner projects who are like, oh, cool, like you're doing something with him, like we'll jump in on that. Yeah, and how is that? I think it's one that it should always be like an accelerant, and the failure mode I think for crypto projects is if they haven't cracked how to generate more organic excitement, trying to just like pump that up with KOL spend is just like you're just like bleeding yourself endlessly. And so we've always viewed it as like an accelerant for key milestones, something we do here and there. But I think people would be surprised at how little we've done there. Like we have done a good amount, but even the initial release was like basically organic, with some accelerant of working with KOLs, but not like it hasn't been the dominant way we've got attention.
Yeah, I mean, when there's a great product, it's a lot easier. You don't need to spend so much. You guys have a great product, so it's easy. And also, the most shocking thing about what you said is Whale. I thought it was Wale. Wale.
I call him Whale, but I guess
Maybe you're right.
I
Maybe you're
thought
right.
So I didn't know. I've heard people like kind of meme him and say Wale, but
Yeah, maybe it's a meme.
I think they're joking when they do it. I call him
I'll,
Whale, and he's never corrected me.
okay, okay. I'll call him Whale from now on. All
Yeah.
right. So, what can we expect the next 12 to 24 months? What are kind of these, shorter term goals you're trying to hit, and then what are like the big things you're going
Yeah.
after?
So our goals, right now, really focused on a 1 to 3 month time span for us. And I can talk about what comes after that, but like within this sort of like 3 month period, we want to quadruple, quintuple usage of the platform. And you're going to see us do that, I think, through some novel chain integrations and deepening what we have within crypto and starting to go beyond it, but not like a wholehearted push. But I think we can pretty easily like quadruple what we have in the coming months, and that's a key goal. Is you should come to Nifty, and right now you can find games to play. It's solid, but we need it to be that you're almost like overwhelmed by how much is going on in there, and I think we can get there pretty soon. So that's one. Another like key goal for us, more in that like 1 to 3 month time span, is being a leader in the agents meet gaming space. There's not a lot of stuff that's like live and active. There's a lot of ideas, and we want to be like the most concrete example, the one that every agent builds on. We want it to be clear that if there's any sort of metaverse agent tie-in, Nifty's a no-brainer place to do it, and pretty much everyone is doing it. And so you're going to see us start to roll that out in a week. Probably by the time people are watching it, it will be live in V1. But so we've got that. The other is like just deepening the value prop around staking island tokens. So we want to see it as like it should be like 65% plus of circulating island tokens should be staked. And that's for us, that means people like the value prop of the platform. So that's a key like tactical goal. There's some other stuff like getting the launch pad out and just growing our reach. But like that's kind of like the block and tackle stuff we're focused on right now. And then I think once we get past this period and we're talking about Q2, it does become much more about like how can we just grow the pie as much as possible. And so that's bringing Nifty to new platforms like mobile or consoles. Epic Game Store full launch. We're already approved for it, but just haven't pulled the trigger on it. And really just like a bigger push on Twitch and YouTube to like make this like the face of crypto for people who want to spend time and play games around it. And so yeah, that's it. It gets murkier for me after 3 months because we have a lot packed in right now, but that's basically the goal. Yeah,
That's awesome. Wow.
yeah.
All right. Is there anything Nifty Island related that we did not touch upon that you want to kind of briefly hit upon? We went over a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing I always like to reinforce about it is like I really think there was this period in crypto gaming where people thought like it was just very indeterminate optimism. Like you just make a game, like it has a token, we're good. That was sort of like if you were in early 2024, like that was kind of where people were at. And I really think the number of winners in crypto gaming is going to be far fewer than people expect, but they will do far better than people expect. And to me, it's like the open UGC game worlds. Like, there's a reason people have tried it so many times in this space. It's because it just from first principles makes sense. Like better incentives to create content, better communities to populate the worlds, being a game world that's useful to everything that's on chain and not a game that's siloed away from what users want. This is basically that's kind of the core conviction for us. And I do think like the Web3 gaming needs to move away from indeterminate optimism. It needs to become about like a specific idea of what crypto gaming can do. And to me, that is like better user generated content, accelerated by crypto, accelerated by AI. That's what we're playing for. So for anyone listening, that's our core conviction. Yeah.
I love that. Love it. All right. So I want to ask some general questions. What do you think, besides Web3 gaming, we can include that? What do you think? Which trend within crypto is overhyped, and which trend is underhyped right now?
I think the most maligned part of crypto right now is like the deep internet community side of it. So it's sort of like community members almost become like a pejorative or something. Oh, like basically just bag holding. And I think we've seen this cycle has really been about like the kind of like global Nasdaq kind of Solana narrative. I think there's obviously a lot there, but like I think the trader centric story has been like everybody knows it, everyone's building applications in it, like couldn't be like more front and center and more dominant than it is now. And then the side of things we saw in 2021, which was like, oh, people are going to use the internet in a new way. People are going to form deeper communities. People are going to proliferate new types of IP. That I think you're going to see come back. Like I think you're seeing groups like us spearhead that. You're seeing Pudgy Penguin spearhead that. I think the idea that there can be a deeper, more communitarian internet where people form new ways of associating with each other. They make way more content. They're way more active than normal users. That story, I think, is the least. It's the most maligned and like kind of under the radar right now. And I think that's like that to me is it's hard to know time frames, but I always think there's been two sides to it to crypto. There's people who just trade. There's people who like the deep kind of participation in it, and I think like we like both, but I think the deeper participation, like the forming new communities, is like needs a comeback at this point.
Totally. No, I think that's a really great point. I mean, the way that I got deeply involved in the NFT world and kind of just the ecosystem in general was actually through crypto voxels, which is like a
Right.
very OG, kind of
Yeah.
blocky style virtual world platform. And going in there, meeting all these people, I met a lot of entrepreneurs a lot of traders, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of investors that have gone on to do huge things. And what's
Yeah.
so cool is that community. I mean, there's like, probably, I don't know, there's like 1,000 people that were, I was interacting with or whatever, but it was really cool that I actually formed good friendships there. And it was so crazy because I was like, oh, I like crypto because, of course, it's going to change the world, but I also want to make money. And then I ended up making these friends and these connections. I was like, oh, wow, like I didn't know it was going to be this social. And as that community dissipated and, Sandbox and Decentraland those communities have dissipated as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's really cool to kind of see that, there's what you guys are building. And yeah, obviously I'm, biased, but I do think that what was missing from those platforms was the gamification. It's like you could go there, you could hang out with people and talk, but it's like, okay, well then what, And I think that being able to play and participate and just have fun with other people was like a key missing ingredient. And so you guys are hitting that well. All right, so that was that was kind of the one side. What do you think is totally overblown? I guess you kind of mentioned trading, like it's so obvious everyone's trading everything possible, meme coins, etc. But what trend is you're like, oh, this is totally overhyped, makes no sense.
I guess, yeah, to expand on that, I think it's like you have people building like we basically, I think crypto might, in terms of users, my impression is that it is shrunk since 2021. Like even if there's been some renewed excitement, and I think this could be a crazy year that changes that, but it's basically been like there's the crypto like everyone's looking at like what do users want, like who is the user base, and the user base right now is the most like multi-cycle hardened, like kind of trading centric that it's ever been, I think. And at least since I've been watching it since like 2017, I think what you're seeing is a ton of effort get poured into building like ever more complex games for that, like, you know, narrow group. And the returns on doing it are just like, they are diminishing. There's obviously some standout winners, but I think it's hard to battle for that group. I think like the thing people are rightfully skeptical of, but it's got to be that like you need, like what we saw in 2021, where like there were tons of people who had never touched crypto who suddenly were like, whoa, I like art, I create art, I'm getting engaged in it. You're going to see like the dam break for a new group, and I do think it will be. I think gamers are like the most obvious cohort. Like demographically, they align with the types of people who tend to like crypto. They like spending a lot of time online. They engage in deep communities already. So I do think like everybody's focus right now is on like fighting for that like group of, I don't know what it is. Like, is it 100,000? Is it less people who want to use the latest like trading centric app? I think you're going to see the dam break, and you'll get like a whole fresh new cohort of people into crypto, and I think it will be gamers. I do think it's the natural place to push, and it will seem kind of impossible, and there'll be lots of false starts and like failures for people trying to push on it. But once the dam breaks on that, like it's going to just change who the user base is, and people will completely like flip around what they're focused on. So yeah, that's my view. Is like the thing that is over fixated on is the users we have. The thing that's under fixated on is the users that are like sitting there that really could be won over. It's just that there aren't enough good products that actually make sense. And so
Totally.
to me, it's like you're like when I talk to people very casually about Nifty, and they're sort of like, okay, so it's kind of like Fortnite, but like there's like money and like I could win prizes, and oh, there's these like wild communities and stuff. And I'm like, yep, that's right.
They're like,
Like
that
the
sounds
goal is
great.
just to understand it. So yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, sir. This was wonderful. It is time for the closing questions.
All right, let's do it.
All right. You're going to love this one. What is the price of Bitcoin 1 year from now?
Oh, so I always for with this stuff, it's like barring like China invading Taiwan or something like that. Like I gotta like caveat it with that. Like barring like massive calamity, uh, I think it's got to be like a year from now. I want to say like maybe 175K. I'm just gonna
Ooh,
just gonna guess.
nice.
I'm not. It's not really my job to know these things,
Yeah.
but I do think like it should be a pretty wild year.
I like it. I like a wild year because what reasons?
Well, I mean, I think you've got reasons within crypto are like, I think someone's going to prove that the pie can be grown. And once that is proven, um, it will like unleash a whole wave of enthusiasm. Like, I think a lot of people got really burnt on the idea that like crypto is going to take over as a consumer phenomenon in like 21, 22 and onward. If somebody proves it, it's just going to flip in a huge way. So I think you've got the strong possibility of that, and then you have the fact that the president is the incoming president like views crypto doing well as like a core measure of his success,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like how like that
It's
is insane.
hilarious.
Like
It's
that's
it's so crazy.
it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
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 No, I agree. Great points. All right. What is a book, movie, podcast, TV show, etc., any piece of content that had a major impact on you?
Man, I mean a bunch. Uh I think one person I've really like enjoyed reading about a lot is like D Hawk, founder of Visa, um, and because he's someone who's like took like the credit card space, which started in such a humble way that I think people don't appreciate like how much of a nothing it might have appeared at first, where it was like people had cards that allowed them to basically buy on credit at like one specific store. So you'd have like it was as if you had a credit card that only worked at like GameStop or something like that, right? And people were like, okay, so it's like a tab that you're running up here. And then what he saw was the possibility to universalize it in a way that nobody else saw, and he created an organization that like is basically this like decentralized precursor to crypto, getting all these banks to and retailers to play into one system, and is just generally like a really thoughtful guy who also just stepped away from it all and like lived on a ranch at the end and stuff, and just kind of wrote philosophy and stuff. I think he's like a person worth admiring for sure. Other stuff, C.S. Lewis for sure. Don't need to really. Everybody knows him. He's good. And then some other stuff I've really liked. There's a philosopher, Manuel Delanda, I really like, who writes a lot about how like complex systems come together kind of surprisingly. Has a good book on like the history of warfare, and a lot about like how a lot of the time like there's all these latent potential with technology, but it takes people to actually like organize in a new way and kind of push it forward. Which like he talks about things like the rise of like Napoleon's armies. They function differently and use new technologies differently because they had different beliefs, because they were willing to do things other people weren't willing to do. I always think about that with crypto too, that like we have all this interesting new technology, and a lot of the time it is just packaging it in the right way, such that it gets people to engage with it. And and so yeah, I guess those are a few that are cool to me.
That's awesome. Sorry, it was Manuel what?
Manuel Delanda, yeah, he's good.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
do some Googling after that. That sounds very
War in the
cool.
Age of the Intelligent Machine is a really cool book.
That's awesome.
That's just one.
All right. What lesson do you wish you learned or knew before starting your entrepreneurial journey?
I think one is probably like it's probably just things take like 2 to 3x longer than you expect. I think on everything. So it's like scope of Nifty as a project. Like, I mean, it took us to get to the beta. We had an alpha in a year, but to get to the beta, it was like, spring of 2021 till, January 18th, 2024. So like, that's a lot of grinding, between those dates. So I think it's like things take significantly longer than you think. And then combine that with like cycles, where like your convictions will be tested like very deeply, during that, right? So it's like things take longer, and cycles are going to be brutal. I think that's probably the core thing.
I love it. All right. Where can people find you and Nifty Island?
You can find me. I'm Charles, but the E's a 3, VII on Twitter, and then niftyisland.com and nifty_island on Twitter.
Amazing. Sir, thank you so much for coming on. It was amazing.
Awesome. Great chatting, Andrew.